and pray like we usually do. Hallelujah. Thank you, Father, for allowing us to come here in your presence. It's always a blessing to come before you to study your word, to gain the wisdom and knowledge as you see fit. We ask you to please show us favor and allowing us to get the knowledge that you want us to have. It's a privilege to be part of your nation. We know that you chose us and we didn't choose you, and we eternally grateful for this. All these things we ask your son Yahushua, our King and our High Priest's name. Hallelujah. Amen. Before we get started, anybody want to say anything that they're grateful for? Anybody grateful for anything?
Grateful for another day. Grateful for the Most High bringing us through another work week. Grateful for the opportunity to be amongst my scripture study chat group. And thank you for the Most High for where all blessings come.
Hallelujah. I'm grateful just to be here again. First off, to be part of a nation chosen by the Most High, a nation that was chosen before I was even thought of by my parents, before they was thought of by their parents. The favor that we get is something that's unwarranted. We didn't do anything to earn it. And it's just a blessing from the Father that we do have it. I'm grateful for everybody here. We got a small assembly, but the Most High deal in remnants. Always remember that. It's not about the most popular or the biggest group. It's about those who try to keep covenant and try to keep righteousness according to His ways and not ours. Oh, and I'm also grateful that Kendrick got here today. We always chat about him getting here, and he got here while he was at the gym today. So it means that he actually went out his way to be here because he could just be focused on his workout, but something led him to be here today. So I pray that to Yahuah that he gets something out of here that'll resonate and make him want to just come back again and again.
Hallelujah.
Um, we talk. We're gonna touch up on two things today. We got a lot of reading. We don't have a PowerPoint. We got some reading today. I want to share with y'all something in Matthew the 6th chapter. Am I clear to y'all?
Yeah.
Okay. And just for the sake, if y'all not talking and we not having just back and forth discussion, I'm asking y'all, can y'all mute your phones so we don't have feedback and it don't sound crazy on the replay or on the video. But we got a lot of reading. The first gonna come from Matthew the 6th chapter. If y'all want to go there, we're gonna pull from two different parts of there from that particular book, and we're gonna read from there, and then we're gonna go and talk about what we was talking about earlier this week in the chat, which is the covenant. So, if y'all want to go to 6th chapter of Matthew, we're gonna start there. Let's see. Can y'all see the screen? Just somebody tell me if y'all can.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. The Most High led my spirit to read some of these passages here, and I felt that we all could just glean from it and just be reminded how to conduct ourselves. We're going to read the first two verses of Matthew 6, and then we're going to jump all the way down to 25 and go throughout the rest of the chapter. The first two says, beware of practicing your righteousness before other people in order to be seen by them, for then you will have no reward from your Father who is in heaven. Thus, when you get to the needy, sound no trumpet before you, as the hypocrites do in the synagogues and in the streets, that they may be praised by others. Surely I say to you, they have received their reward. But when you give to the needy, do not let your left hand know what your right hand is doing, so that your giving may be in secret. And your Father sees in secret what? Your Father who sees in secret will reward you. I believe this is self-explanatory. When we do things for people, we have to all be aware and conscious of the fact that we shouldn't be bragging about helping people. It's a blessing to be a blessing to other people. And we in these times where, especially in this social media age, where people do things just for the glory, just for the recognition, just for somebody to pat them on the back and say you did a good job. It's a lot of people who do things where it's not heartfelt and it's not beneficial to anybody but them and their own vanity. Um,
Amen.
so when we do things, we supposed to just, as it says, the figure is don't let your left hand know what your right hand doing. So that's just figuratively saying like you don't even got to tell the people close to you what you're doing. You don't have
Yeah.
to brag because soon as somebody else says, "Oh, you did a good job," ooh, or you do it for that reason, that's your reward. The Most High
Right.
stop your blessing right there because you sought the attention of other people as opposed to just being kind from your heart or just doing it to because the Most High allows you to. And we see that this world we in, the vanity is an all time high. I believe personally, I believe people do a lot of things just for vain reasons and just to be seen. So when we drop down to 25, and I think that we all can relate to this and what exactly it's saying. Therefore, I tell you, and remember, this is the Messiah talking, Yahushua, the Son of the Most High. Therefore, I tell you, do not be anxious about your life, what you will eat or what you will drink, nor about your body, what you will put on. Is not life more than food, and the body more than clothing? Look at the birds of the air. They neither sow nor reap nor gather into barns, and yet your heavenly Father feeds them. Are you not of more value than they? And which of you, by being anxious, can add a single hour to his span of life? And why are you anxious about clothing? Consider the lilies of the field, how they grow. They neither toil nor spin. Yet I tell you, even Solomon in all of his glory was not arrayed like one of these. But if Elohim so clothed the grasses, so clothed the grass of the fields, which today is alive and tomorrow is thrown into the oven, will he not much more clothe you? O you of little faith, therefore do not be anxious, saying, what shall we eat? Or what shall we drink? Or what shall we wear? For the Gentiles seek after all these things, and your heavenly Father knows that you need them all. But seek first the kingdom of Elohim and his righteousness, and all things will be added to you. Therefore do not be anxious about tomorrow, for tomorrow will be anxious for itself. Sufficient for the day is its own troubles. Now, before I go any further, do anybody want to just say what that particular passage means to them?
It's just letting us know not to worry about anything, that he supply all of our needs.
That's definitely it. We always get caught up in panic, and we always act like when we go through something that we going through the worst thing ever in life. And it can just be simply you hungry. Like you can be hungry, you ain't got that much money, you be panicking like, man, I don't know what I'm gonna eat. And it's like you been getting fed since you was a child. You done had clothes since you was a child. If he call you his child and you faithful to him and he waking birds up, don't you think he at least gonna take care of his own?
Mhm.
He's saying we get caught up in worldly things and worldly matters like the Gentiles do. In this context, it's like the other nations. It's like we worry ourselves with what other people around us worry themselves with, and they have worries that we shouldn't have because we have on our side the Creator. So no matter what we going through, what perceivably something tough or whatever, we should just literally put it in the hands of the Most High. Especially when you're worried about how I'm pay this bill tomorrow, how I'm pay this bill next week. He said, don't worry about that stuff. He said, it's enough to worry about in your present state right now. We be stressed out about tomorrow and stuff like we guaranteed to be here.
Mhm.
You probably get blessed one day. Bill collect the corner like, nah, he gone. You might not have to face that bill.
Mhm.
But I just wanted to touch up on those two things. The key to gain this favor, though, which goes into what the second part we're going to talk about, what we're going to read a lot about today. In order to garner this favor from the Most High, in order to have His protection, His love, His guidance, His commitment, and His correction. How do we get that? Anybody feel free to answer that.
Standing covenant.
Anybody else agree or object?
I
I
agree.
agree.
Okay. And then Kenner, he relatively new. Hey, Kenner, can you tap in for a quick second? Or whenever you're done with your set. You
What's up?
good?
Yeah.
Do you know what a covenant is?
Do I know what the covenant is?
Yeah, a covenant.
It's like a promise. To me, it's like a promise.
It's
I
like a
understand.
promise.
Yeah.
What's a covenant,
Not
Destiny?
what?
A covenant is like yeah, like promise to be in Yahuah's laws, so you can like be in the covenant, which is the kingdom.
You had a better answer last year. A covenant is a contract, remember?
Oh.
A covenant is agreement between two different parties. Okay? And it's always initiated by one party, usually the party who's the most powerful. They offer a covenant between somebody else to instill a relationship. Um, can somebody name a particular covenant between people and stuff that we see take place?
A marriage.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's what I was about to say.
yeah, that's exactly what I was
Yeah.
thinking. Like a marriage is a covenant. It's an agreement between two parties, and they have stipulations in this particular covenant. Um, we're gonna go to Genesis, and what we're gonna talk about today is covenants and what it means to be in covenant, what covenants entail, and what how we benefit from them, and what's the stipulations of the particular covenants. So the first chapter we can go to is Matthew. Genesis, 9th chapter, 9th verse. Get there with y'all real quick. And again, a covenant is an agreement between two parties. That's what a covenant is. Now this is fresh up after the flood. We all familiar with the story of the flood. Um, Matter of fact, I was gonna start at 9, but I'm going to start at 1. It says, "And Elohim said to Noah and his sons, and said to them, and Noah blessed Noah, and Elohim blessed Noah and his sons, and said to them, Be fruitful and multiply and fill the earth." Now remember, this is on the heels after all flesh, all human beings being destroyed on earth, aside from those who were blessed to be on the ark. Remember we talked about the ark last week.
Yeah.
The fear of you and the dread of you shall be upon every beast of the earth, and upon every bird of heavens, upon everything that creeps on the ground, and all the fish of the sea. And to your hands they are delivered. Every moving thing that lives shall be food for you. And as I gave you the green plants, I give you everything. But you shall not eat flesh with its life. That is, you shall not eat flesh with its life. That is its blood. And for your lifeblood I will require a reckoning. From every beast I will require, and from every man. From his fellow man that I require a reckoning from human life. So it's basically saying you don't eat animals that's still bleeding, and you don't kill people. It's going to be something to be dealt with if you kill people. Now, real quick, he said that I gave you all the food on the earth. It's all he said. All the everything living is food for you. Right here, people who don't want to obey the Levitical laws, they say
Right.
that the Most High said that we can eat anything, and they not
Mhm.
understanding context. And I'm gonna be real simple in this regard. When they loaded people up on the ark, it was a distinction between clean and unclean animals. So that really nullifies their argument that you can eat everything, because when he boarded the animals, he boarded clean and unclean. Um, and if they was to go by that and being super simple, when you say everything that moves and lives shall be food for you, if you want to simplify it like they do, you can say everything so I can eat a human. You understand that? Because if you take
Mm-hmm.
things out of context, you can twist it to fit your own narrative. But clearly, he has a distinction between clean and unclean. Verse 6 says, "Whoever sheds the blood of man, by man shall his blood be shed." This is the eye for eye ideology. For Elohim made man in his own image. So when you kill somebody, you offended Yahuah because he created human in his image. 7 says, "And you be fruitful and multiply, increase greatly on the earth and multiply in it." Then Elohim said to Noah and to his sons with him, "Behold, I establish my covenant with you and your offspring after you, and with every living creature that is with you, the birds, the livestock, and every beast of the earth with you, as many as may come out of the ark. It is for every beast on the earth. I establish my covenant with you that never again shall all flesh be cut off by the waters of the flood, and never again shall there be a flood to destroy the earth." And Elohim said, "This is the sign of the covenant that I make between me and you and every living creature that is with you for all future generations. I have set my bow in the cloud," which is commonly referred to as a rainbow, "and it shall be a sign of the covenant between me and the earth. And when I bring clouds over the earth, and the bow is seen in the clouds, I will remember my covenant that is between me and you and every living creature of all flesh. And the water shall never again become a flood to destroy all flesh. When the bow is in the clouds, I will see it and remember the everlasting covenant between Elohim and every living creature of flesh that is on the earth." Elohim said to Noah, "This is a sign of the covenant that I have established between me and all the flesh on the earth." So right here we see a covenant between Yahuah that he said to Noah and his sons. The distinction of this covenant right here is how many. Anybody know how many sons Noah had? For bonus points, their names.
3.
Bingo,
Ham, Ham, and Japheth.
bingo. Somebody get that girl a present. Get her an apple. Go get the good apples.
They act like they're scared to answer. They know it.
No, they know you know it. But these are the three sons, and these three sons ended up being the progenitors of all the nations of all humankind. So in essence, this particular covenant was made with everybody on earth. Everybody here on this earth right now, all the animals and the earth itself, was part of this particular covenant right here, right now. This covenant said that he would never destroy all flesh, not some. It's not saying this. What is this? Y'all see something on y'all screen?
Mm-mm.
It's just
No.
it's weird. I just had a random pop up on my screen. I had no idea where it came from. Um, it's not saying that it was only given to. This was made with everybody. So that's what I want to show the distinction in this particular covenant right here. So if we go to Genesis 17 chapter, we're going to see the covenant that he made with Abraham. Now, this is a distinction. Now, the first one was written with just with the whole world. It wasn't for Israel. It wasn't for one nation. It was for everybody. Are y'all
So that was
following?
the first. So that was the first covenant he made.
Right.
Okay. And I think this is the second.
Are y'all with me? 17?
Yes.
Okay. When Abraham was 99 years old, Yahuwah appeared to Abraham and said, "I am Elohim, I am El Shaddai, the Almighty. Walk before me and be blameless, that I may make a covenant between me and you and may multiply you greatly." Listen to the contingencies. What makes the covenant? Walk before me and be blameless, that I may make a covenant between me and you and may multiply you greatly. Anybody know why he said to be blameless?
I'm going to take a stab at it without seeing.
I said, do you know why he said that?
Oh, that's the that's the stay in covenant.
The reason why he says to be blameless is because the Most High, his righteousness can't dwell with unrighteousness. Remember that?
Yeah, right.
Anytime that um, anytime when you see the Most High, when it say his spirit left somebody in particular, who pops up in my head is Saul. Remember when Saul felt the spirit of Yahuah depart from him?
Right.
The Most High will not be with unclean things. That's something that we all have to always remember. A lot of times these people deal in disasters and things like that, or people who live in wickedly, and they cry and they complain to the Most High about him not being there, and they absolutely right, because the Most High won't be in unclean places. He won't fellowship with people who don't have him in mind, who not righteous, who out here fornicating with other deities. He will not be in their presence. It's disrespectful to him, and it go against everything he stands for. Remember, he said he won't share his glory with nobody else. So if somebody's indulging in other deities, whether it be through holidays or their worship systems, Yahuah is not in the same place as these deities where he's sharing his authority. So he says to walk before me and be blameless, that I may make my covenant between you and make you multiply greatly. Then Abram fell on his face, and Elohim said to him, behold, my covenant is with you, and you shall be the father of a multitude of nations. No longer shall your name be called Abram, but your name shall be called Abraham. For I have made you the father of a multitude of nations. I will make you exceedingly fruitful, and I will make you into nations, and kings shall come from you. And I will establish my covenant between you and your offspring after you throughout their generations for an everlasting covenant to be your Elohim to you and to your offspring. And I will give to you and your offspring after you the land of your sojournings, all of the land of Canaan. For an everlasting possession I will be their Elohim. Now the land of Canaan is what is Israel. And the reason why at this particular time it was called the land of Canaan is because the Canaanites was dwelling there. They didn't have a right to this land. When Noah gave his sons the different lands, Canaan was a descendant of Ham. He gave him his own territory, but they violated the borders and they took over land that was given to Japheth. But anyway, it was the land of the Canaanites at this particular time, and Yahuah told Abraham, who descended from Shem. I don't know if I said who descended from Shem, that I'm going to give you this land. And Elohim said to Abraham, as for you, you shall keep my covenant, you and your offspring after you throughout their generations. So he was speaking specifically to Abraham right now, but it's something that wasn't just meant for him. It was a generational thing. This is my covenant which you shall keep between me and you and your offspring after you. Every male amongst you shall be circumcised. You shall be circumcised in the flesh of your foreskins, and it shall be a sign of the covenant between me and you. He who is 8 days old amongst you shall be circumcised, every male throughout your generations, whether be born in your house or bought with the money from any foreigner who is not of your offspring. Both he who is born in your house and he who is bought with money shall surely be circumcised. So shall my covenant be in your flesh, an everlasting covenant. Any uncircumcised male who is not circumcised in the flesh of his foreskin shall be cut off from his people. He has broken the covenant. So right here, this was just a marker for the covenant. And if you want to dwell with Abraham and his people, whether you was a servant or you was blood born, you had to be circumcised. It's the same way when we get to the kingdom age, how people who practice different religions, Christianity, or people from different nations. It's a lot of people who buck against the concept of having to keep commandments. Or in Christianity, they think that Israel was cut off and that Christianity replaced Israel as the chosen people of the scriptures. but they still live a life of covenant breaking, uh, false deity worship. Uh, they don't adhere to dietary laws, but they still think that they inherit what they feel like we lost. Do you understand that?
Mm-hmm.
Where even if you're not an Israelite, but you want to follow Yahuah, you have to keep his law. You have to keep his statutes. You have to keep his commandments, no matter what. Now I'm being real rambly and stuff. Do anybody got any questions? Anything we're going over so far?
Yeah, I do. Can you hear me, Don?
Yeah, I hear you.
You remember last week Brenda brought up about like where is it now for them to like how the Christians or whatever they go in and Christian or christen their kids or do this or do that and stuff. And she asked the question last week about how do we, what do we do for our male child? So would the circumcision be, this is what she talking about? Like, because she asked last week, and like, even though we went in and we didn't know and we were baptized or whatever, so some religions do this or do that. So would circumcision be what she was asking?
She was talking. Well, we was talking about to give your firstborn to the Most High. I think last week,
Yeah.
but the circumcision every male child has to go to it, and it's identifying that you in this covenant.
Okay.
Well, what she was talking about was the infant baptism and blessings and things like that. That's not Israelite culture, but
Yeah.
baptism is though immersion. That was what our people did do in the past, though. If that was any kind of confusion on that end, like we are
Yeah.
to be immersed, we supposed to
Hmm.
be. But far as the male child, when they born, all of us had to get that as a marker. And over time, it transcended just Israelite culture, and it became this culture in general and stuff to where I think mostly everybody here in this part of the Western Hemisphere usually have circumcision.
Yeah. Some Okay. I was when I know the covenant between Abraham and and it's meant for us too, but I was wondering if that was probably what she was talking about. Because that could be part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And furthermore, in 17, verse 16 says, And Elohim said to Abraham, As for your wife, Sarai, she shall not be called Sarai, but Sarah shall be her name. I will bless her, and moreover, I will give her a son. I will bless her, and she shall become nations, kings of people. Nations and kings shall come from her. Then Abraham fell on his face and laughed and said to himself, Shall a child be born to a man who is 100 years old? Shall Sarah, who is 90 years old, bear a child? And Abraham said to Elohim, Oh, that Ishmael might live before you. Elohim said, No, but Sarah, your wife, shall bear a son, and you shall call him Isaac. I will establish my covenant with him as an everlasting covenant for his offspring after him. Can somebody mute their phone? Can you get feedback? As for
Yeah.
Ishmael,
Somebody need to mute me.
As for Ishmael, I have heard you. Behold, I have blessed him and will make him fruitful and multiply him greatly. He shall father 12 princes, and I will make him into a great nation. But I will establish my covenant with Isaac, whom Sarah shall bear to you at the time this time next year. So real quick, we talked about the covenant where he initiated with Abraham. I went on further because Abraham, he couldn't believe, and it was just natural, his natural reaction, because he old, he 100 years old, his wife 90, so he like, can we just do this with Ishmael? Now remember, Ishmael was the son that he had by Sarah's handmaid, the concubine Hagar, and he was like, well, maybe we can just do it through him. So it's something else we can glean from this is when Yahuah said that's what's going on. No matter how insurmountable the task may seem to us, remember, impossible is just a word that we understand that don't mean nothing to him. So he said, no. He said, we're going to do like I said. As for Ishmael, I'm going to bless him. I'm not going to just leave this son right here out to dry. He going to father 12 princes, and he going to have they're going to multiply. They're going to be great. But I'm establishing my covenant through Isaac. Now, where I want to stop right here because people who practice Islam, or if y'all know Muslim people, they hold Ishmael in a higher regard than they do Isaac, because they ignorantly or wrongfully say that the promise went from Abraham to Ishmael. Even to go as far as to say that when the Most High had Abraham go take his son to be sacrificed, that it was Ishmael. They have a stone that they venerate in Islam called the Kaaba stone. They claim that, I don't know if y'all ever seen that giant thing that they go make a Hajj to, what they call a Hajj or the pilgrimage. They say that it was built by Abraham and Ishmael. They all falsehoods. But I just want to show y'all that the covenant specifically and distinctly says that it went through Isaac and his offspring. Anybody have any questions so far? I promise it's going to get very interesting. I'm just laying the groundwork. Follow me to Exodus 24. Go ahead, Brenda. You got something?
Yeah, I always thought that that covenant came from Isaac. I mean, came through Abraham, but it came now that I read it earlier this week. It comes through Isaac.
Now, what covenant is this?
When I don't know.
It's generational. So it comes from Abraham, but it trickles down to Isaac and then Jacob and then to us.
And I'm glad that Mike said that, because the covenant that he established with Abraham way back then was the same one that we trying to adhere to today. It started with Abraham, but it came into fruition a little bit later. Remember, he said that you're going to have your own land and you're going to be fruitful and all these things like this. We're going to get to it, but Abraham never seen these he never seen that nation of Israel. He never seen the kings that came from his loins. He never seen all the kingdom type things. Abraham, Isaac, Jacob never knew King David. They never knew how the descendants or their descendants rose to high peaks. They never saw that stuff. They never knew the splendor of a Solomon. Nor did they ever know the travails or the what their people end up going through. You see what I'm saying? So this was just like the Genesis, which incidentally is the book of Genesis, but the beginning of the covenant being spoken of or put into action.
Gotcha.
So we can go to Exodus 24. Then he said to Moses, he of course is Yahuah, come up to Yahuah, you, Aaron, Nadab, and Abihu, and 70 of the elders of Israel, and worship from afar. Moses alone came near to Yahuah, but the others shall not come near, and the people shall not come up with him. Now this is of course after the Exodus, when they left the captivity in in Egypt. Moses came up and told the people all the words of Yahuah and all the rules. And all the people answered with one voice and said, all the words that Yahuah has spoken, we will do. And Moses wrote down all the words of Yahuah. He rose early in the morning and built an altar at the foot of the mountain and the 12 pillars according to the 12 tribes of Israel. And he sent young men from the people of Israel who offered burnt offerings and sacrificed peace offerings of oxen to Yahuah. And Moses took half of the blood and put it into the basins, and half of the blood he threw against the altar. Then he took the book of the covenant and read it in the hearing of the people. So he read it for everybody to hear. And they said, all that Yahuah has spoken we will do, and we will be obedient. And Moses took the blood and threw it on the people and said, behold the blood of the covenant that Yahuah has made with you, in accordance to all these words. It's a blood covenant. Now, did y'all catch that? And Moses took the blood and threw it on the people and said, behold the blood of the covenant that Yahuah has made with you according to these words. So this was the people who all gathered, and they said, yeah, we're going to agree with everything that you said to do. We taking a part in this covenant. So when we go to Deuteronomy 28, Of course, the go-to when people want to describe the curses of Israel and things like that. Um, and remember, at this particular time, remember that right here, leaving Exodus. Now, matter of fact, he promised to Abraham that they would go into the land of Canaan. He promised that to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. To 12, the descendants of 12 brothers. And to all like the Israelites all around. He told them all of that. At the time of the Exodus, they were still trying to get to the land of Canaan. They were still trying to get there. So these were generations, like hundreds of years from when Yahuah first made that promise to Abraham to Moses leading the people this way. To answer, Moses didn't even get to the promised land. He got to see it, but he didn't get to go in there. My point of just making mention of this is that Yahuah moves on his own time. He told Abraham about it, and it didn't happen until centuries later. You understand that? So when we just read these scriptures and things like that, we can hope and we can wish that it happens in our time, but remember, it always happens on Yahuwah's time. So we go to Deuteronomy 28, and we definitely not going to read this whole chapter because we had before, and you can always read this or Leviticus 26 in your spare time to gain a little bit more. Just to read it. But see, when you enter a covenant with Yahuah, one of the questions we posed earlier this week, which led me to looking these things up, is Yahuah obligated to do anything? And the answers was, I knew what the answers was going to be. I knew that most people were going to say no. Because we look at Yahuah as almighty and he can do anything he wants to. But when you look at him from a righteous standpoint, he's always fair. And if he say he going to do something, he has to do it. He can't relent. He can't turn from it. Because his integrity and his righteousness is on the line. So the same way we have obligations in the covenant, he also has obligations. His end never comes up short on either end. Whatever he says he's going to do in the context of this covenant, he's going to do. So when we read the very first part of the blessings, it says, and if you faithfully, and this is the what happens if you're obedient while you're in the covenant. And if you faithfully obey the voice of Yahuah, your Elohim, being careful to do all his commandments that I command you today, Yahuah, your Elohim, will set you high above all the nations. The key thing to understand is that we don't get front seat or lifted up above everybody just because we Israelites. Being careful to do all his commandments that he command, this is when he has set us up above the nations. Do you understand that? Mm-hmm. We don't get it just because we Israel. That's nothing. It's a lot of our people. The majority of the people you see today who just super duper wicked, they Israelites. The people you see in your neighborhood who ain't got no regards for the Most High, people who hanging up Christmas trees, doing all this wicked stuff, and whether they have intentions of being wicked or not, they being wicked. And now, granted, they gonna get judged for this, but they won't be judged with the harshness of somebody who know better. I want to get that out there clear right now. People who are here celebrating these holidays and things like that, it's not like they're going to get their heads cut off like they know better. It's some sins that's committed and stuff unknowingly. Remember, we pray to be forgiven from unknowing sins too. Now, those who just disregard it, that's a different story. 2 says, and all these blessings shall come upon you and overtake you if you obey the voice of Yahuah your Elohim. So this come with obedience. Blessed shall you be in the city, blessed shall you be in the field. So you'll be blessed everywhere. Blessed shall be the fruit of your womb and the fruit of your ground and the fruit of your cattle, the increase of your herds and the young of your flock. So you're going to be prosperous in your children, and your gardens, and your flocks, your animals, your farming. Everything is going to be blessed. Blessed shall be your basket and your kneading bowl. Blessed shall you be when you come in and blessed when you go out. These are the things that come with obedience. Number 7 says, Yahuwah will cause your enemies who rise against you to be defeated before you. They shall come out against you one way and flee before you in 7 ways. When we obey Yahuwah, we keep his covenant and we do what we're supposed to do. We are essentially untouchable by outside entities. When you read the scriptures, anytime our people was in being righteous, nobody never came mess with us. The only time no nations ever came in Israel telling them that come and worship Baal, come and worship Molech. We will go to these nations voluntarily and serve their deities, thus weakening our tie with Yahuwah. Remember, he don't dwell with uncleanliness, so when you reach outside of him and you go deal with these other deities, you break the covenant. Yahuwah will command the blessings on you and your barns and in all that you undertake. And he will bless you in the land that Yahuwah, your Elohim, is giving you. Now remember, everybody who's careful to do these commandments, that's who get these blessings. It's not who go to church. It's not who pray the loudest. It's not who on the usher board, the pastors. It's none of that.
Not who pay their tithes.
Yeah, it's whoever keep the commandments. Yahuwah will establish you as a people holy or set apart to himself as he has sworn to you. If, now it's always a caveat, if you keep the commandments of Yahuwah, your Elohim, and walk in his ways. So if we keep his commandments and do what he say, he's obligated to do everything that he said if we keep these commandments. Do you understand that? So
Mm-hmm.
this is where the obligations of him come in. That if we keep his commandments, we're going to be blessed by more ways than we can imagine. So we'll skip down. Oh, and this is a real one. Number 12 right here. And Yahuwah will open to you his good treasury, the heavens, to give rain to your land and its seasons, and bless all the work of your hands. So your land going to be fruitful and fertile. And you shall lend to many nations, but you shall not borrow. And Yahuwah will make you the head, not the tail, and you shall only go up and not down if you obey the commandments of Yahuwah, your Elohim, which I command you today, being careful to do them. So he's going to make you rich. We won't be on welfare. We won't be having people on child support. We won't be getting food stamps. We won't be at the bottom. We're going to be at the top if we keep commandments. So how do we get in this particular state right here in perpetual poverty? There are certain rich Israelites, but as a whole, we live impoverished. The reason why it don't seem so bad because we've adapted to it and we know how to use all kind of, like, we use the same grease for everything. We adaptive. So these are the things that happen when you break the covenant, and we just gonna skim through these. But if you will not obey the voice of Yahuwah, your Elohim, or be careful to do his commandments and his statutes that I command you today, then all these curses shall come upon you and overtake you. Cursed shall you be in the city, cursed shall you be in the field, cursed shall you be on your basket and your kneading bowl, cursed shall be the fruit of your womb and the fruit of your ground, the increase of your herds and your flock and the young of your flock. Cursed shall you be when you come in and when you go out. So it's just the opposite of what happens if you're obedient. It happens if you're disobedient. So instead of being blessed, you get cursed. And being that Yahuwah is righteous, he has to own up to what he said he would do. Remember, he deals in nations. He don't deal in individuals in the context of this. Everybody in Israel wasn't sinning or turning against him, but he deal in nations. Remember, when Daniel went into captivity in Babylon, Daniel was righteous, but he still had to go through that captivity because the Most High deal in nations. Even in that captivity, he stayed faithful and he got blessed. Just because we just kept, go ahead.
That's just like Lot when Lot was in Sodom and Gomorrah.
Yeah, same exact thing. And yeah, so even though the Most High loves us, now we know he loves us, but His justice exceeds his love. His righteousness is stronger than his love. And that's how we got to adopt that mind state. Our righteousness has to oversee our love in the context of this. He punishes because he loves us. You understand that?
Mm-hmm.
The reason why we're in this captivity, or we went through multiple captivities, we got ravished, we got beat, sold, which it was foretold in this particular passage, is that he had to honor the covenant. He was keeping covenant. This was part of the covenant. If y'all do this, I have to do this. So when we tell our children and we discipline our children, it's because these are, if you set rules before them, if you disobey me, I'm going to do this to you. It's not because you don't like them, but you have to establish that righteousness. You have to show them that you mean what you say and that you are almighty. So do y'all understand the concept when I say that? Like, you might not want to punish your children, but you do it because you know that you have to. Because you have to be
Mm-hmm.
true to your word. So
Yeah.
Yahuah, he loves us. But it's because of his love that we in this situation that we in right now. And what I mean by that is his love is based on his righteousness. Him keeping his word. Now another part of the love is though that he's gonna get us out of this particular captivity. So we're gonna run again now to Numbers 25. Anybody got any questions? I hope a lot of this stuff making sense, or what I'm trying to share is coming through, because I want y'all to understand what it means to be in covenant, how important it is, and how there's protection inside this covenant, and what happens when we broke this covenant, and how we're going to get back the benefits and the righteousness of the covenant. And we're at verse 1. And this is another covenant that's formed right here. I want to show y'all it's another covenant, or how the Most High can make micro covenants, like covenants inside of covenants. While Israel lived in Shittim, the people began to whore with the daughters of Moab. Anybody have any idea what that means?
Mingle with, interact.
Yeah, they took
Um,
wives. They took
mm,
wives of the Moabs.
Intermingle or marry.
Definitely. And um, these invited the people to sacrifice to their deities, their gods, and the people ate and bowed down to their gods. This was how come the Most High was telling our people, don't let your sons marry to these other nations, and don't let your daughters. He said distinctly because they're going to start serving their deities. They're going to start having Easter egg hunts. They're going to start putting up Christmas trees. They're going to start passing out Valentines. You understand this?
mm,
Remember, Easter eggs, that's fertility deities. Ishtar, the Christmas tree, we talked about the fertility deity, the green deity.
Semiramis,
Definitely.
Moloch, Moloch.
Moloch, Baal, and this is what they was worshiping Baal at Peor at this particular instance. So what it is, the same Yahuah always tells of these things to protect us. The laws, the statutes, and the commandments, the rules are to protect us. They are not to oppress us. So he told them that this is what's going to happen. You're going to get over here and you're going to start serving their deities. And people don't understand how powerful this is or how offensive it is to Yahuah, because they only care about their own sensitivities and they disregard the fact that he cares. So if he's constantly hurt by the people that he took his time to put his name up on, you can understand why the punishment is so strong. You see what I'm saying? He didn't choose these other nations as his own. So when they do whatever they doing, okay, I'll deal with y'all, but I'm really getting y'all. Y'all know better. So that's how they look at us. So Israel yoked himself to Baal of Peor, and the anger of Yahuah was kindled against Israel. And Yahuah said to Moses, take all the chiefs of the people and hang, listen to this, take all the chiefs of the people and hang them in the sun before Yahuah, that the fierce anger of Yahuah may turn away from Israel. And Moses said to the judges of Israel, each of you kill those of his men who have yoked themselves to Baal Peor. the chiefs. So these were the heads of the people who were doing this. These were the people who were in a position of power and influence. The punishment was we gonna kill them, and we gonna hang them up in the air. We're gonna just set them in front of everybody. And y'all, anybody have any idea why that was done? Like setting them in front of everybody.
Awareness.
I'm sorry. To do what?
An example.
Exactly. 6 says, and behold, one of the people of Israel came and brought a Midianite woman to his family in the sight of Moses, and in the sight of the whole congregation of the people of Israel, while they were weeping in the entrance of the tent of meetings. Now listen to this. When Phinehas, the son of Eleazar, son of Aaron the priest, saw it, he rose and left the congregation and took a spear in his hand. So this is Aaron's grandson. This Moses' great nephew. And went after the men of Israel, excuse me, into the chamber and pierced them both, and the men of Israel and the woman through her belly. Thus the plague of the people of Israel was stopped. Nevertheless, those who died by the plague were 24,000. So it was one person who came in there and brought a woman in there who already wasn't supposed to be in there. So they already doing bad going through it and stuff. And Phinehas, who was from the tribe of Levi, he got his spear and killed him. And this stopped the plague. You see how extreme it get? They out here serving these other deities, doing what they want to do. 24,000 people ended up dead off of this. The Most High is nothing to play with. We get this weird Christianity vibe where they always talk about WWJD. What would Jesus do? Turn the other cheek. All this stuff. Love, love, love. But they don't understand that righteousness supersedes love. Somebody got the little weird sound in the background. They need muted. 10 says, and Yahuah said to Moses, Phinehas, the son of Eleazar, son of Aaron the priest, has turned back my wrath from the people of Israel. Listen to this. One man who got up and stood for Yahuah stopped all the trial, all the stuff that was going to come down on him. In that he was jealous with my jealousy among them, so that I did not consume the people of Israel in my jealousy. What was he jealous of? Anybody?
He wasn't getting the glory he deserved, the full glory. They was going after other guys and doing things for them.
Remember he said exactly. Remember he said he is jealous Elohim. He won't share his glory. It really means something to him for us to solely worship him. He divided up all the nations and he chose us. He chose us to keep his commandments. He didn't choose them to. He didn't choose the Midianites to do it. He didn't choose the Japhetites. He didn't choose the Hamites. He chose Israel. So, where was I at? Okay. Number 12 says, therefore say, behold, I give him my covenant of peace. And hold on real quick. I need everybody to mute. Because what it is, when we play this back, it sounds crazy. When I'm talking, it's real echoey. It's just like that. Like I keep hearing this little creaky sound. And the same thing we say every week. Again, 12 says, therefore say, behold, I give him my covenant of peace. This is the covenant. And it shall be to him and to his descendants after him the covenant of a perpetual priesthood, because he was jealous for his Elohim and made atonement for the people of Israel. Yahuah was so, you know what I'm saying, he was so happy or so pleased with what he did that he made a perpetual covenant that he will always be the priesthood. His descendants will always be the priesthood. The name of the slain man of Israel who was killed with the Midianite woman was Zimri, the son of Saul, chief of a father's house belonging to the Simeonites. So this is people from the tribe of Simeon. And the name of the Midianite woman who was killed was Kazabi, the daughter of Zur, who was the tribal head of her father's house in Midian. So it's just showing that who they was. 16 says, and Yahuah said to Moses, saying, harass the Midianites and strike them down. For they have harassed you with their wiles, with which they beguiled you in the matter of Peor, and in the matter of Kazabi, the daughter of the chief Midian, their sister, who was killed on the day of the plague on account of Peor. So, the same way Yahuah judges Israel, keep in mind. These other nations that bewitch us, who beguile us, who tempt us to sin with them, they going to get judged too. Because they over here touching the apple of his eye, they leading them into destruction. So history always has a way of repeating itself, and the same thing, the same people who caused Israel to sin or turn their backs on Yahuah, it's going to happen again in the future. Now, just to show how Yahuah remembered this particular covenant right here, jump with me to Malachi, the 2nd chapter. Anybody got any questions or anything we got to? Just unmute real quick, then mute back after you answer your question. I want to make sure that nobody lost or left behind on anything we discussed so far. If not, let's go to Malachi, 2nd chapter. We're going to go from verses 1 through 12. And now, O priests, this command is for you. So these are the priests. These are the people who was in charge of the worship or the sacrifices and things like this. When you think Christianity, these are who they pattern themselves after, the preachers, the pastors, or whatever, the elders. And now, O priests, this command is for you. If you will not listen, if you will not take it to heart to give honor to my name, says Yahuah of hosts or of armies, then I will send the curse upon you, and I will curse your blessings. Indeed, I have already cursed them because you did not lay it to heart. Behold, I will rebuke your offspring and spread dung on your faces. Dung is doo-doo. The dung of your offspring, and you shall be taken away with it. So shall you know that I have sent this command to you, that my covenant with Levi may stand, says Yahuah of hosts. My covenant with him was one of life and peace, and I gave them to him. It was a covenant of fear, and he feared me. He stood in awe of my name. True instruction was in his mouth, and no wrong was found on his lips. He walked with me in peace and uprightness, and he turned many from iniquity. For the lips of a priest should guard knowledge, and people should seek instruction from his mouth. For he is the messenger of the Yahuah of hosts, but you have turned aside from your way. You have caused many to stumble by your instruction. You have corrupted the covenant of Levi, says Yahuah of hosts. Hold up, I lost my place. And so I make you despised and abased before all people, inasmuch as you do not keep my ways, but show partiality in your instruction. Now, he was talking about the covenant he made way back when Phinehas had his altercation with the Midianite and the Israelite from the tribe of Simeon. He telling these people how far they done fell away from how he established his covenant with the tribe of Levi. They moved with respect, regard. They treated Yahuah with the utmost respect. This particular generation right here was just doing the exact opposite, and he reminded them of the covenant that he made, and just before he told them that, I'm going to destroy y'all too, because y'all turning away from this. The covenant is two ways. As long as you're faithful to the covenant, Yahuah going to be faithful to you. And so that just shows the people who call themselves priests or preachers right now, remember, for anybody to be a priest or a preacher in Israel, you had to come from the tribe of Levi. Now, we can be out here teachers and all that stuff, but for anybody to run a temple or anything, you had to be from the Levitical priesthood, and you had to be upstanding, you had to be righteous, you had to be jealous for Yahuah. Look at the people who call themselves reverend this and that, and ask yourself, are they adhering to the principles that Yahuah set before this particular guard right here? Most of the time, the answer is going to be no. And if you ask are they Levites, it's going to be no all the time. So now, what we're going to do now, we got a little bit more reading, but we're going to talk about the covenant again as it pertains directly to us. Y'all familiar with the Valley of Dry Bones? Anybody?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And if y'all not, we about to get familiar. Everybody good? Y'all ain't
Yeah,
bored,
we
are
read
y'all?
Ezekiel.
Everybody good? I know there's a little bit, a lot of reading and stuff more.
No, no, no,
Yep.
it's good. It's good.
Okay, because
So we
I
go
don't
to
want y'all going to
Ezekiel.
sleep and stuff, fantasizing about partying and stuff, getting when y'all leave. I gotta get out of church. But we are in Ezekiel 37. And I just want to show y'all like the importance of covenants. How we end up in this particular situation we in, how we get back in the covenant, and what a new covenant is. So we are in Ezekiel 37. The hand of Yahuah was upon me. This is Ezekiel talking. And he brought me out in the spirit of Yahuah and set me down in the middle of the valley. It was full of bones. And he led me around among them, and behold, there were many on the surface of the valley, and behold, they were very dry. And he said to me, Son of man, can these bones live? And I said, Yahuah Elohim, you know. Then he said to me, Prophesy over these bones and say to them, O dry bones, hear the words of Yahuah. Thus says Yahuah Elohim to these bones, Behold, I will cause breath to enter you, and you shall live. And I will lay sinews upon you, and I will cause flesh to come upon you, and cover you with skin, and put breath in, and you shall live, and you shall know that I am Elohim. So again, this is the vision where Ezekiel see he in a valley, and all he see is dry bones. Dry bones mean like old bones. They just been there forever. And he says that Yahuah tells him to prophesy to him or speak to him, and he does that, and they start gaining sinew, skin, and things like that, and they start coming to life. Verse 7, so I prophesied as I was commanded, and as I prophesied, there was a sound, and behold, a rattling. And the bones came together, bone to his bone. And I looked, and behold, there were sinews upon them, and flesh had come upon them, and the skin had covered them. But there was no breath in them. So they started coming back together. Then he said to me, Prophesy to the breath, prophesy, son of man, and say to the breath, Thus says Yahuah Elohim, Come from the four winds, O breath, and breathe on these slain that they may live. So I prophesied as he commanded me, and the breath came into them, and they lived and stood on their feet, an exceedingly great army. So breath was breathed into them. And he said to me, Son of man, these bones are the whole house of Israel. Behold, they say, Our bones are dried up, and our hope is lost, and we are indeed cut off. This is where our people have been. We've been a valley of dry bones. We've been lost. We've been dead. Remember, the dead is the spiritual dead. We disconnected from our source of power, which is Yahuah. When you're out of covenant, you dead, spiritual dead. That's why you need to be reborn. Therefore prophesy and say to them, Thus says Yahuah, Behold, I will open your graves and raise you from your graves, O my people, and I will bring you into your land of Israel. This is talking about the second Exodus. He's gathering us from the four winds. He's going to bring life back into us. And you shall know that I am Yahuah when I open your graves and raise you from your graves, O my people. And I will put my spirit within you, and you shall live, and I will place you in your own land. Then you shall know that I am Yahuah. I have spoken, I will do it, declares Yahuah. Another form of obligation. Now he said, I have spoken, I will do it. Do you understand that?
Right.
So now there's no way, zero way that Yahuah will be like, never mind, I'm not coming to get y'all. He spoke it, he gonna do it. The word of Yahuah came to me, Son of man, take a stick and write on it. For Judah and the people of Israel associated with him, then take a stick and write on it for Joseph, the stick of Ephraim, and the house of Israel associated with him. So he's talking about the southern and the northern kingdoms. And join them one into another into the stick, that they may become one in your hand. And when your people say to you, Will you not tell us what you mean by these? Say to the people, Thus says Yahuah Elohim, Behold, I am about to take the stick of Joseph, that is in the hand of Ephraim, the northern kingdom, and the tribes of Israel associated with him. So the other tribes up there. And I will join it with the stick of Judah and make them one stick, that they might be one in my hand. So remember, there was a division between the kingdom. It was a lot of beef, a lot of wars, and like we just couldn't get along with each other. So what he doing? He's saying that he gonna get rid of all that during this particular time right here. When the sticks on which you write are in one hand before their eyes, then say to them, thus says Yahuah Elohim, behold, I will take the people of Israel from the nations among which they have gone, and I will gather them from all around and bring them into their own land. And I will make them one nation in the land on the mountains of Israel. And one king shall be king over them, and they shall be no longer two nations, no longer divided into two kingdoms. They shall not defile themselves any more with their idols and their detestable things, or with any of their transgressions. But I will save them, listen, but I will save them from all the backsliding in which they have sinned, and will cleanse them, and they shall be my people, and I will be their Elohim. Remember, he says he don't walk. What he told Abraham, be blameless before me. Remember, he said, be blameless, be clean. So he's saying he's going to save us, our nation, from their backsliding. He said they won't defile themselves anymore with idols and detestable things. These other deities, we won't be celebrating these feast days that they have. We won't be keeping up with their ways of worship. Key thing, he's going to save them from all their backsliding. If you ask a general person who practices Christianity, I always harp on Christianity because that's the ideology, belief system that we come from. They believe that they are saved by simply saying, Jesus, help. Forgive me for my sins. They don't understand that the concept of being saved is based solely and firstly on Israel, saving them from their backsliding, saving them from turning away from his covenant. That got us kicked out the land and spread to the four corners of the earth and essentially dead, spiritually dead. He said he's going to cleanse us and we're going to be his people and he's going to be our Elohim. Remember, just because he chose us don't mean nothing if we not walking the way he said to walk. You understand that, right?
Yeah.
So the whole I'm saved means nothing. You only saved if you endure to the end. And you know exactly what you're getting saved from. We are being saved from this captivity, from being spread, from being apart from Yahuah. That's what we being saved from. Now right here, this one right here, I forgot I can't remember who I was telling. I done told this story so many times. Verse 24 used to throw me. The very first time I read verse 24, it hurt my stomach. I'm going to tell y'all why after I read it. And my servant David shall be king over them, and they shall all have one shepherd. They shall walk in my rules and be careful to obey my statutes. Anybody know that why that would throw me left, so to speak? And y'all gotta understand
because David.
Yeah. People who call themselves non-Messianic, they don't believe in Yahuah. Yahusha is the king. They don't believe he's the son of Yahuah. They say that he's counterfeit, and they say that in the scriptures, it says that David is going to be the king. And if you don't know no better and you read this the first time, boy, to spin your head around. And that's how come I'm glad we got to see this. Are y'all all seeing this?
Yeah.
Anybody else see it?
You might have to unmute Lisa.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't mute.
Yeah.
I don't know how to mute.
Yeah.
Okay. The reason why I want y'all to see that,
Yeah.
because y'all might come into this where y'all get somebody who hate the Messiah, who hate our King, and they're going to try to use this right here. This is how come you have the precept, line up on line, precept on precept. That means you got to go places back and forth from Scripture to make them come together harmoniously. So if y'all can go to Jeremiah 23:5, that's where we're going to go. It's gonna show y'all how this stuff all tie together as far as the Messiah, Yahushua, being the king that's coming, and who gonna rule when we get to the land. So we are in 23:5, I believe I said. And I didn't mute Lisa because I can't mute from the computer. So whoever muted next time we asking can y'all unmute. Matter of fact, we're gonna start having somebody just who are in control of mutes from now on. But
You said Jeremiah what, Don?
fifth chat no 23:5. Behold, the days are coming, declares Yahuah, when I will raise up for David a righteous branch, and he shall reign as king and deal wisely and shall execute justice and righteousness in the land. In his days, Judah will be saved and Israel will dwell securely. And this is the name by which he will be called. Yahuah is our righteousness. That's what the Messiah is going to be referred to in that particular time right there. So when you see that David's going to rule, it just means somebody from his lineage. This is the righteous branch, which is Yahushua.
Bloodline. Yep.
Definitely. And then it's so many different passages you can go from there and stuff where it all correlates and show that it's the Messiah. But it's people in Israel who hate Yahushua. It's weird, and it's good that y'all get this right here at the foundation so y'all can learn how to deal with it. Because when I first saw that David was going to be the king, it was on the heels of me having a debate with somebody who was what they call non-Messianic, or they just basically didn't believe that Yahushua is the Messiah that's prophesied. But when you
I'm glad. I'm glad you brought that out because it's a lot, like a lot of that going around right now, and it's even like they even have churches established that are teaching that right now.
Mm.
it's super crazy, and I thank the Most High that like soon as I read it, and that He opened my eyes up to just show me how to properly use exegesis or study the scriptures to not support what I wanted to see, but just show me what's there. Because when it comes to these scriptures, you don't want to get caught up in trying to be right. You want to always get caught up in trying to be righteous. But it had rocked me from the construct that I always believed that Yahushua was the Messiah, and these scriptures support that. But we got like two more things to read. Let's go to Hebrews 9 real quick. Let me see. Where was I at? Okay. I'm gonna start at 11. But when Mashiach or Christ appeared as a high priest of the good things that have come, then through the greater and more perfect tent, not made with hands, that is not of this creation. Just to put it in perspective, the upper part, the first parts of this chapter is talking about the high priest and the temple in Israel. And this right here, at this part, is talking about when the Messiah came. He entered once for all into the holy places, not by means of blood of goats and calves, but by the means of his own blood, thus securing an eternal redemption. So it's talking about how the high priest in Israel, they will have to go in and they will offer the sacrifices of animals for the people. And it's saying in the concept of the Messiah, he didn't offer the blood of animals, he offered his own blood. For if the blood of goats and bulls and the sprinkling of defiled persons with the ashes of a heifer sanctify for the purification of the flesh, how much more will the blood of Mashiach, who through the eternal spirit offered himself without blemish to Elohim, purify our conscience from the dead works to serve the living Elohim. So it's saying that when he died, he was a sacrifice. It purified our conscience from dead works. So it allowed us to be like the valley of dry bones was talking about, spiritually dead. He becomes a high priest and he becomes that connection that allows us to get back in covenant with the Most High. And we see that in verse 15, it says, therefore, he is the mediator of a new covenant, so that those who are called may receive the promised eternal inheritance since death has occurred that redeems from the transgressions committed under the first covenant. This is where it's important for the people who we love and care about who profess to be Christians get lost at. And the reason why is because they don't read the scriptures in context. It says he is the mediator of a new covenant. A lot of people say we under the new covenant so we don't got to keep the law. Have y'all heard that before? Or we under the new covenant, that was the Old Testament,
Yep.
things like
Yep.
that.
Mm-hmm.
We under a new covenant so that those who are called may receive the promised eternal inheritance. Now, who was the promised eternal inheritance given to? Abraham and his descendants. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
That's who it was given to, the promised eternal inheritance. This does not include, remember he said, I'm making it distinctly with you, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. That's who that covenant that they speaking of was made with. Who are called may receive the promised eternal inheritance. So when the Messiah becoming a new mediator of the new covenant, it's so that we can get back in there. Since a death has occurred that redeemed us from the transgressions committed. So all the things that we did under the old covenant, all the transgressions that we have, it was covered when the Messiah died. It allowed the new covenant for his people to get back in. It says those who were called. We were the ones who were called, the ones who are chosen. Do you understand that? He
Mm-hmm.
wasn't calling or choosing religions. He called and chose a nation. 16 says, for where a will is involved, the death of one who has made it must be established. For a will takes effect only at death, since it is not in force as long as the one who made it is alive. Therefore, not even the first covenant was inaugurated without blood. Now, remember we talked about how they start sprinkling the blood on everybody when they took agreement for the covenant? He said, like, even the first one had to have blood shed, so does this one. For when every commandment of the law has been declared by Moses to the people, he took the blood of calves and goats with water and scarlet wool and hyssop and sprinkled both the book itself and all the people, saying, this is the blood of the covenant that Yahuah has commanded you. And in the same way, he sprinkled the blood with the blood, both the tent and all the vessels used in worship. Indeed, under the law, almost everything is purified with blood, and without the shedding of blood, there is no forgiveness for sin. So when the Messiah was killed, it was to enable us to have a new covenant. It was another way to sprinkle blood on us to renew the covenant that the old law was on. The old law, the law, not the old law. The law was part of the old covenant. We broke those laws and we got kicked out of that covenant. So when more blood had to be shed in order for a new covenant to be reestablished. So y'all made me mad, but I'm gonna bring y'all back. But just like the first time where it had to be a sprinkling of blood, it has to be sprinkling of blood again. But this time it's gonna come from a more pure sacrifice and one that's more stronger than the goats, the sheep, and things like that. Do y'all understand that? Like how come the Messiah, this is why he died and how he ended up being like the sacrifice. So his blood was sprinkling us to really validate or verify the covenant. You understand that?
Mm-hmm.
He didn't make a covenant with a religion. This has nothing to do with Christianity. This is not about saving them. A religion wasn't kicked out of their land and spread to the four corners of the earth. He distinctly says in the Valley of Dry Bones, he's gathering his people and he bringing them back to life. He gonna save them from their sin. We are trying to be saved from our sin. Our sin was covenant breaking. That's what we are being saved from. That's how come it's important to study the scripture in context so you can understand, like, if you ask the general person, what are you being saved from? They're going to say, hell. It's just going to be that simple. And it's going to sound profound to them because it's going to be like, you ain't know? But now y'all know that it's something different, and it's about his people who transgress, who sin, who dealt unrighteously with him. We got two more things to go to. We can go to Luke the
Now,
22nd.
can you explain verses 16 and 17?
Therefore, he is the mediator of a new covenant. That's what you're talking about.
Mm-mm. For
Oh, I'm sorry,
where
sorry.
a will is.
For where will is involved, the death of one who has made it must be established. If you write out a will, Brenda, the will can't go into effect until you die.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you get it.
Yeah.
So the Messiah had to die in order for all the other things to happen, for y'all to get back
Oh,
in covenant.
gotcha.
So we can go to Luke 22nd chapter, and then we're gonna finish up in Jeremiah the 31st chapter. So Luke 22. Let me see. Anybody else got any questions? I mean, I don't know. Feel like I'm just such a great teacher that y'all get everything I'm saying the first rec. Don't make me start feeling myself.
Luke 22.
No,
Yeah.
bro, you breaking it down.
And let me see exactly where I was at here in 22. Okay. And we're gonna start at verse 14. Something I detest about this is like my scripts have a heading that says institution of the Lord's Supper. I hate that because this wasn't an institution of the quote unquote Lord's Supper. They was just celebrating Passover. Always keep that in mind. The concept of a Lord's Supper is some modern stuff that they didn't when they was having it. They was having Passover. They weren't thinking about nothing about no Lord's Supper. And when the hour came, he reclined at the table and the apostles with him. And he said to them, I have earnestly desired to eat this Passover with you before I suffer. For I tell you, I will not eat it until it is fulfilled in the kingdom of Elohim. And he took a cup, and he said, and he had given. I'm sorry. He took a cup, and when he had given thanks, he said, "Take this and divide it amongst yourselves. For I tell you that from now on, I will not drink of the fruit of the vine until the kingdom of Elohim comes." Two things that just show the kingdom is he gonna rule the kingdom, but it's Yahuah's kingdom. You understand that?
Mm-hmm.
For people who always venerate the Son above the Father, you gotta understand who the causation, who the top dog is. Even the Messiah said it very often. And he took bread, and when he had given thanks, he broke it and gave it to them, saying, "This is my body, which is given to you. Do this in remembrance of me." He just saying that when y'all had Passover, remember me. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And likewise, the cup after they had eaten, saying, "This cup that is poured out for you is the new covenant in my blood." So right here, he's telling them that this is the signification of the new covenant. He knowing that his blood is about to be shed, and that's what's going to institute the beginnings of a new covenant, right?
Mm-hmm.
What I want to point out right here with the new covenant, and it might be since we bringing this out here right now that y'all gonna start hearing people talking about more often that they was in a new covenant. You all hear this all the time. We're under a new covenant. We ain't got to keep the laws. We ain't got to do all that stuff. That's in the old days. So let's go to our final reading point, and this is Jeremiah the 31st chapter, and it's gonna tell y'all exactly what the new covenant is. And I pointed this out to Christians before and stuff, and I promise they just gloss right over it, like it don't even hit. And it's because it's like it's not beneficial to the narrative that they want to hold on to. People don't understand to be
Jeremiah, I'm
huh?
sorry, Jeremiah, what chapter?
31, 31. Now again, we talk about the covenant. Matter of fact, you know what? I'll finish with that. 31 through 38. Behold, the days are coming, declares Yahuah, when I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and the house of Judah. Now, do y'all hear that?
Mm-hmm.
Who he's making a new covenant with? The same two sticks in the valley of dry bones. He's making it with his nation. not like the covenant that I made with their fathers on the day when I took them by hand to bring them out of the land of Egypt. My covenant that they broke, though I was their husband, declares Yahuah. Remember, it's a marriage. We talked about a marriage covenant. He married to the children of Israel, the nation of Israel. He chose us as his bride. He's saying that the one he's going to make is not going to be like the one he made with our fathers, our ancestors. For this covenant that I will make with the house of Israel after those days, declares Yahuah, I will put my law within them, and I will write it on their hearts. And I will be their Elohim, and they shall be my people. These people who say they under a new covenant, there is no law. He says, I will put my law within them, and I will write it on their hearts. Meaning that we're going to know the law. We ain't going to have to study it. It's already going to be within us. So they talk about they don't have to keep a law because they're under a new covenant. But part of the new covenant is having the law written in your heart. And I will be their Elohim, and they shall be my people. Disconnected, we not his people. When we come back in covenant, we are his people. And no longer shall each one teach his neighbor and each other his brother, saying, Know Yahuah. For they shall all know me from the least of them to the greatest, declares Yahuah. We won't be having scripture studies. We won't be having to try to figure out how we got here. We won't be trying to figure out how to keep covenant. Because we all going to know. It won't be a hierarchy. It won't be me teaching Zane. Zane will be teaching me. That's how the knowledge of Yahuah going to be. Everybody going to have it. For anybody who says we're under a new covenant, you have to understand that none of this is taking place. For I will forgive their iniquity, and I will remember their sins no more. Thus says Yahuah, who gives the sun for light by day, and the fixed order of the moon and the stars for light by night, who stirs up the sea so that its waves roar. Yahuah of hosts is his name. If this fixed order departs from before me, declares Yahuah, then shall the offspring of Israel cease from being a nation before me. So he's saying that if all this stuff don't happen, listen, if the sun don't come up, the lights don't shine, that all that stuff don't happen, then Israel gonna cease from being a nation before him. Everybody talking about Israel don't matter no more. It don't matter who it is. Yahuah love everybody. That's not how it works. He's making his covenant with us. Thus says Yahuah, if the heavens above can be measured and the foundation of the earth can be explored, then I will cast off my offspring of Israel for all they have done, declares Yahuah. Can't nobody measure the sky. Can't nobody measure the foundations of the earth. So he being, you know what I'm saying, funny when he say, if y'all can do this, then I'll cast them off. This is why it's important to be in covenant with Yahuah, because he's making a covenant with his people. He not doing it with no religion. He not doing it with all the other things, the cool stuff that people talk about. He making it with his nation. With that said, remember, you don't get the benefits of the covenant just for being Israel. You got to walk righteously and blamelessly. You got to have contrition when you do wrong. You have to strive to do right. You have to be righteous without showing out. You got to just have it in your heart to work on his behalf. He don't brag when he do stuff for us, so we shouldn't brag when we do stuff for other people.
Right.
The reason why it's so hard for people to get in this covenant is the responsibility, the obligation. We want Yahuah to be obligated towards us, but we don't want to be obligated towards him. We want him to always be nice, blessing, all that stuff, but we don't want to do the things that's required on our end. It's too much, what can I say, too much responsibility to be in covenant. It's too much expectations. People don't want expectations. People don't want to be held accountable. That's what I look for. People don't want the accountability that it takes to be an Israelite, but they want the blessings of being an Israelite. Do you understand that?
Yeah.
It's a two-way road. We can't get out here praying to Yahuah every time something go wrong and we living wrong. We can't be praying for him to get us out of jams where he said, if y'all go over there, y'all go marry them people from that foreign nation, you know that they don't serve me. You know they don't regard me. You know that they hate me. But you want to indulge with them, you gonna end up hating me. The way you show Yahuah's hate, you can't throw rocks at him. You can't say stuff to hurt his feelings. What he don't like is when you go horn after other deities. That's how you hurt Yahuah. In turn, he take that covering off you. And that's what got us in this particular situation right here. Remember, Yahuah has his obligations in the covenant. He gonna always adhere to his end. He gonna always make sure that his end is taken care of. If we want to be in this covenant, if we want to say that we're the children of Israel, if we want to show people that's who we are, we have to abide by his covenant. We got to walk in his steps. We don't walk in the steps of the world. The world didn't ordain us. The world didn't choose us. Or they can choose you, but they can't bless you like he can. You can get them temporary good jobs, but that's nothing. What he got coming for us is something incredible, something that this world can't ever give. You understand that?
Yeah.
So that's why we want to be in this covenant. And we both have obligations, us and Yahuah. Anybody got any questions, anything we went over?
No, it's a really good study. I like it. I really did.
All praise to the Most
I don't
High.
know if it's because I've already read the scriptures, but I like it.
Hallelujah.
Yeah, this was a good one. This was a real good one. You broke it down,
Yeah,
bro.
he really did.
Kerrick, you
And
good?
the way you compared the scriptures too
And that's how, because they
for a
go,
better understanding.
because they always witness for each other. Like the prophets.
Line upon line.
Yeah. Kerrick, you
Yeah.
good?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm still here.
Light skin, big head.
What'd you say?
It's mean over there asleep.
No, I'm not.
Over there horse playing, looking up shoes. My buzzers.
Lisa, you good?
Lisa. Lisa done fell out. Oh, there she go. It's all right.
Try to unmute myself. No, I heard everything. Real good study. Real good.
Okay, I just want to make sure everybody's woke. But yeah, without ain't nobody got no questions, can we actually go ahead and press out? I don't do all that. I was just playing. Well, let's go ahead and bow our heads in prayer. Hallelujah. Thank you again, Father, for allowing us to come here in your presence. It's always a blessing. It's a blessing to be able to go through your words with our people to gain some understanding and some wisdom as you see fit. Only you know it all. Only you have all the answers. Anything that you bestow upon us is complete favor. I ask you to please bless me to study so I don't mislead your people. And I ask you to help me always seek you out above all things. You said to seek the kingdom, everything else will be added. And I pray that you will help us all have that mind state. Put you before we put anything. You always going to be our guide and make sure we get to where you want us to be. I ask you to bless everybody here. Bless us as we go our various ways and just keep us in your heart and help us to keep you at the forefront of our thoughts. All these things we ask your son, Yahushua, our King, and our High Priest name. Hallelujah. Amen.
I
Amen.
mean,
Amen.
Lisa Kobe's picture is in the newspaper.
Hallelujah.
I'm gonna go ahead
Hey,
and
I was
clip
going to
it
chat with
for
y'all
you.
later. That's a personal conversation
Thank
between you,
you.
Lisa, and
I
Kobe.
appreciate that.
No, I'll talk to y'all.
Mhm.
All right.
All right.
All right,
Love
Thank
y'all.
y'all.
Love
Y'all
you.
take
y'all.
care.
Bye, y'all.
You enjoy this story?
Yeah.